What is up, everyone? Today I wanted to talk about the whole idea that social interactions are a two-way street or two-way mirror. And what that means is that basically both parties, if we're talking a one-on-one interaction with someone else, have a certain amount of power in the interaction. And therefore, you will never get a instance where one person will be able to control things 100% of the times. Now, what do I mean by this? I'm talking about the people who think that they can spin any situation so that it goes well. Sometimes people have made it a decision for it not to go well. They don't like you, or they're making it difficult on purpose. And because of that, you can't use your social skills or social powers or whatever you want to call it to spin everything or change everything so everyone likes you. It's just an impossibility. A great example is this new interview prank that was done by Jennifer Aniston on a poor interviewer on BBC Radio 1. It was released this month, and it has like 3 or 4 million views so far. It's growing rapidly. The whole idea was that Jennifer Aniston, who's an actress, if you guys don't know, very famous, she was told ahead of time to make this the most difficult interview ever for this interviewer. And you will see that no matter what this person tries to do, it just becomes very, very difficult. And unfortunately, I've had experiences in real life, and I'm sure if you go on the right channels on YouTube, there are these videos of awkward interviews, and it can be even worse than that. And the point I'm trying to illustrate here is that a lot of people forget this concept, or they've never been told this concept. So when they're starting out in the world, when they're young, they're always thinking, what did I do wrong for that guy or girl to not like me? And they're always saying stuff like, oh, I shouldn't have said this or shouldn't have done that. And it's partially a good mentality to have, because you're improving. Because sometimes if you're saying stuff that's just not very nice, it may help you become a better person. Or if you're too arrogant, or you just do a lot of very weird, bizarre stuff, or you just are very uncalibrated, or you do a lot of stuff that you shouldn't do, and it make you become a better person. If you improved, it's great. But I do think that a lot of guys starting out and trying to seek dating advice or whatever, they forget to realize this. And I remember telling this to a friend, and he realized, wow, that's so true. I never really realized it. And it's a constant thing. And I do think that I used to fall into this trap a lot. I think I still do sometimes, where you're just like, okay, I could have done this differently. Okay, I didn't do that differently. She was somewhat cold from the whole thing. Maybe it was just because she was shy. I should have tried harder. I should have made her laugh more. Maybe if I persisted more and did some more jokes, or just try to be funnier, it could have worked better. And that's all true for certain types of people who are usually on the shy side and just are exceptionally shy and don't do anything and just leave at the first sign of trouble. But sometimes you will run into those instances where the person has decided some point in the past, or just at that moment, that they are going to make this the most difficult thing ever, or they're not interested in you at all, and they're just exceptionally cold to you and so forth. And I think one of the big mistakes people make is they get selfish, they get angry, they get ignorant, and they say, that's wrong. How could you do that to me? Or sometimes they'll just go into themselves and think, what am I doing wrong? What's going on? And they just think too much about themselves, and they fail to even realize how difficult that person's being. And so, again, this is mainly applied to relationships and meeting new people, meeting strangers, or approaching a female, or a male that you've never met that you may be interested in, because these people you've never met before. Um, and oftentimes they just won't like you. They won't like you from the onset for whatever reason. They may be superficial. They may just not like your look. They may think they're better than you. Um, and so sometimes these aren't the type of people you want to be with anyways. And so you kind of have to realize that and move on. On the flip side, though, the people who I think are cocky or exceptionally confident, I don't think they really have this problem, because usually they tend to sniff it out. They realize that this person has a problem, and they just move on and brush it off quickly. I do think this is more so a dynamic for people who um, they hang on too much. They care too much what the stranger thinks because they value them, because they don't have a lot of attractive females in their life and they're approaching. Um, so I think it's something to keep in mind. But again, it goes beyond dating. Just meeting people or making friends, business relationships, whatever it is, any sort of social realm, you have to realize that you can put in a lot of effort to befriend someone or do a lot of things. And they have made it a point, maybe because they're a prick, or maybe because they're just not someone who you should be with anyways, or maybe they're having a bad day. They have a certain realm of power themselves, so it's a two-way street. Both parties have a certain amount of power, and I don't think you can ever spin things completely so that you can get everyone to like you. And I used to think somewhat along these lines when I looked at Oprah or Ellen DeGeneres, where for someone like Ellen, it seems like for the 7 or 8 years she's been on television, she hasn't had a bad incident. Whereas if you look at other interview hosts, they've had instances where the interviews gotten really awkward, really weird, really bad. Like Craig Ferguson or some other talk show host. And for them, I do think generally for Ellen, I started to realize that, hey, if you look at it, there, even for Ellen or Oprah, they still get hate comments, and also they choose their the interviewees, so that usually the people coming on board are not going to be very controversial or attack Ellen back. I'm sure if she invited a specific type of person, there'd be a bad interview. So I'm sure there's people out there who come up into the show and just be like, you know what, I don't like you, Ellen. I don't like what you do, all this stuff. But again, having said all of this, I do think that despite all of this, there is a dramatic potential for us to change and be better socially and do a lot more and change a lot more. So there is a certain balance. You can never get 100 to 0, but I'm sure you can get better at what you do. For instance, if Ellen DeGeneres were ever to encounter such instances like that, she has that social skill, that social tact to just change it around by being very understanding rather than react angrily back. And that's it's often, your social skills are often molded towards your personality, and you use your personality. The best people who do this always use the personality they already have and pull out the strengths from that. So Ellen is just naturally a very caring, humorous individual who cares about the other person. So she would just spin that in a nice way. So if someone came on and said, I don't like what you do, I don't like how you're doing it, I don't like you as a person, she'd probably say something like, and she'd say it very sincerely too. She'd be like, well, I hate to, I can't, I apologize. She probably wouldn't say I apologize. She'd probably say something like, well, I'm sad that you think that way. Is there anything I can do? Or, no, she wouldn't say, is there anything I can do? She would say, like, can you, why do you hate me? Or the way she phrases it just makes it so, like, she makes everything seem like she really cares about you, and she really doesn't want to offend anyone or hurt anyone, and it would probably come across, probably pull at the heartstrings of this individual, even if it doesn't I feel like she'd work it out and then she'd throw some humor in and just make it work. And her phrasing is just so magnificent. Sometimes the way you just, if you say, you can say the same thing, but I would probably phrase it wrong and she'd probably phrase it right, and it just worked perfectly. In addition to that, though, I do think that she does select out her audience, and plus, anyone coming on board knows the prestige of the organization and how everyone loves. Everyone on the staff is very loving to begin with, so they don't come in wanting to ever ruin their own reputation or hate on someone who's inviting them onto the Ellen Show. So it would probably never happen with them. In addition to that, I do think that a lot of these individuals also select for the people that they think are happy and loving to them rather than hate them. So there's also a element of social intelligence in there where they surround themselves with people they want to be with as well. But I do think it's a very useful skill, and for the average person out there who doesn't have that community, well, first off, I mean, anyone can technically just choose people they want to be with and surround themselves with positive people who are smarter than you, happier than you, more positive, loving, all these things. But in addition to that, I think for the average person, I think it's very valuable to have skills where you are interacting with, where you can spin things off and interact with individuals you don't know, for a lot of reasons. To meet someone that might become your wife or husband, or just during your career, you're bound to meet coworkers or people you have to interact with for your career that you haven't met before. And it's always useful. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. If you like this video, all you have to do for me is hit the like button. And if you are not a subscriber, you can hit the subscribe button down below, which will just let you know when I release a new video. That's all I really want to say, and thank you guys for watching, and check out my other videos on this YouTube channel. I'll see you guys later.